until all of us are in a position where we can live where we want to live and live as we want to live, then we're not there.
Thousands of people from all over the state annually converge on Georgia's state capitol to take part in a tradition of face-to-face advocacy in Atlanta. Citizens from as far away as the Florida and Tennessee state lines come to actively support Disability Day and each other in the disability movement.
Who came the furthest today? Who thinks they came the farthest? Savannah? All right, we're going to have a fight over here. Savannah, that's pretty far.
Disability Day benefits advocates and others in the disability community by providing a sense of community, a sense that people are coming together. When you get 1,300 people in a room together, it creates a sense of belonging, a sense of a connectedness, connected to people that live in Waycross and those that live in Lafayette, two separate parts of the state. Hundreds of miles apart, and yet they have a common goal, a common interest, and a common way of thinking about what's happening in their lives or in other people's lives that have disabilities.
I want to thank Eric Jacobson, Executive Director of the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities, for inviting me to join you in this powerful testament to a new day and a new era. What does this mean in terms of the New Freedom Initiative? First, integrating Americans with disabilities into the workforce. Promoting comprehensive community-based services and supports. Promoting safe, decent housing and home ownership.
Dr. Giannini is really one of the leaders within the administration, the federal administration, and the Department of Health and Human Services, and is the director of the Office of Disability within the Department of Health and Human Services. That agency is responsible for developing policy in a broad range of categories, from welfare to disability to Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. So to have her come here to Georgia and talk about what's happening on the federal level and talk about the initiatives that the President Bush's administration is developing gives us another insight into what we can expect here in Georgia.
We have cried, fought, advocated, educated, and tried to convince the powers that be to change and to fund the support systems in the community. Lynette Bragg, GCDD.
No cap, no levels on the ICWP. No cap, no levels on the ICWP. No cap, no levels on the ICWP. No cap, no levels on the ICWP.
We have a lot of conversations going on with senators and legislators in the governor's office about that, so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to come to some compromise that won't put people in jeopardy for being returned to nursing homes or hospitals.
Some people with disabilities themselves, which is one of the principles of independent living, is taking responsibility, have some ideas about how we could save some dollars and not disrupt people's lives.
As an alternate way of possibly raising this money for these slots, we have been working on what is called self-directed care. And what this means is the participants or their families would be the ones who hire and find the people that give their personal assistance. I think for many participants, this would be a good alternative for them, plus it would raise the money that the state needs without capping our services.
I think the essential components of good service delivery for people with developmental disabilities and their families starts out by recognizing the individual and family. Sitting down with an individual, sitting down with the family, understanding what their needs are, understanding what the services and supports are that they need, and then begin to develop all those services and supports and resources around them.
Hopes for services, children, schools, transitions.
I myself have a son with disabilities, and like any parent, it's my hope that my child will grow up to be as independent and become a contributing citizen, just like everybody wishes for their child. And when you look at that as an adult, think of how frustrating that must be for an adult that knows they have something to offer to society, but they are not able to live in an environment that allows them to contribute.
Young children first, and it may be if you were a parent, think about what would have been helpful to you when your child was young, or the person with a disability themselves, what would have been helpful to you and your family when you were little.
One key element to keep in mind for school-age children is to stay aligned with the support groups for after school age.
They want you to be involved the way they want you to be involved. It's okay if you're fundraising, and it's okay if you're attending the IEP meetings and you're complacent and you're going along with everything they say, but the minute you challenge them, or maybe not even challenge, but question something that's in the IEP, then it's seen as that you're coming up against them and unnecessarily.
Sometimes you have students that go all the way through the public school system, the plans work pretty good, and this has been mentioned. They hit high school, they graduate, there's nowhere for them to go.
I think including our children in regular education is a huge undertaking because there are so many different philosophies of inclusion or including our children. The parents have one idea, and each parent can have a different idea. The educators have another idea. We used to hide our children away. That's not acceptable. Our kids all belong.
Disabilities alongside other citizens throughout communities of Georgia. If you want people with disabilities that understand the power of having money in their wallet because they have a real job that makes money, a real job alongside other citizens in the community. If you want people with disabilities owning their own home, paying taxes, where government invests in their lives, doesn't just fund programs, but invests in their lives so they can enjoy Georgia and America the way we have, then we have to do things very different.
Every single social need directly impacts persons with disabilities, and a growing number of Georgia legislators have embraced the disabilities movement and found it's now time to make a difference.
Thank you for coming down, and on behalf of all the 180 members of the Georgia House, I'd like to say thank you for what you do and for making us aware of your issue. It's sometimes easy for us to forget how hard it is for many of you just to get around. And everything I believe in life happens for a purpose. About 2.5 months ago, I took a rather nasty fall off my roof and broke my ankle, had to have surgery. And I had to get around in a wheelchair for a few weeks and on crutches. And I got a tiny glimpse of what many of you live with every day. And I wasn't very good at it, but it gave me a different perspective. And I've told many people sometimes you have to be knocked down in order to look up. And I just want to say to you, I appreciate your issue.
I see as one of my missions when I come down to the state capitol is have a special make a special effort to help people who need the most help. One of the things we don't hear enough from here at the state capitol is from regular folk, real people. We hear from high-powered lobbyists who are lobbying for the powerful, but we don't hear enough from regular folk who need help.
We must here today rededicate ourselves so that government of the people, by the people, and for the people does not perish from this earth. What you are doing here today is making sure that government in the state of Georgia is of the people. Because what you're saying is, we have a need. And if government can't serve that need, no one else can.
I think as parents, our voices can be heard, but we need to get out and make sure that the decision makers hear from us. I think we need to know who our legislators are. We need to get active in the role of voting and communicating with our legislators and letting them know that they do have constituents in their districts who have children with disabilities, and this is an issue for us. We just really need to get more involved as families.
There is nothing else more powerful than you. There's nothing more powerful. You say, I can make a difference. You better make a difference.
The general population has come a long way in understanding disability. People with disabilities are more recognized as members of their community. Are we there yet? No. But I think we're moving in a positive direction.